When I first met my wife, she was impeccable, and I met her back in 1992. I met her in a corporate environment. We were both insurance agent. I met her with a company. We were both salespeople. Her hair was always perfect. She always went and had it professionally done, manicured. She was manicured. Her clothes were always pressed. She always had perfect clothes. She always had her handbags that matched her clothes. She looked like a model, really, and that's really what she went to college for, was fashion merchandising. So she was very much into clothes and fashion and appearances. And this is the first time seeing me again. I was married for 25 years, and unfortunately my wife passed away from alcohol use disorder a little over 5 years ago. And I really tell stories about her journey through those 25 years and before I met her, and then obviously what happens after. But it's important to understand where someone starts in point A, a perfectly normal, wonderful life, and how alcohol permeates into that life and slowly erodes everything that person is, their relationships, their productivity, and ultimately their health. And it's an important story to tell because it's one that goes on over and over again with so many families and in so many spouses and children and parents. And it needs to be talked about. It needs to be brought out of the closet. So again, Amanda went from this pristine and perfect, she was a beautiful woman, beautiful blonde hair. She didn't even need to wear a lot of makeup. If you've seen pictures of her on, either on the cover of the book of the memoir, Amanda, Cautionary Tale, or pictures on this page or in social media, you know what I'm talking about. Impeccable. And she went from that to, let's talk about where she ended up. Again, real quick, I have a complete coaching program. It's counseling, life help. It's really designed to help the alcoholic and the family. Set up a breakthrough call. It takes about 45 minutes or so. We're going to do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. The call is free. The course is definitely not. But I'm looking for people who want to change their life and the life of their family. And really, she went from this impeccable makeup and hair and clothes to, I remember the last few years I would come home from work and she would be literally covered in her own bodily fluids, and she'd wear like running clothes, and she'd wear the same clothes for 3 and 4 days at a time. Didn't care that much about her hygiene. It was such a complete reversal to who she was as a person. Sometimes if we left her for a few days, one time I've told the story, my son and I were looking for colleges in Northern California. We came home and it was a horror fest. And then she had gone. The person was gone. It doesn't seem like they're there anymore. And it's important to talk about this because, I don't want your family to have to go through this. It's important to recognize when someone is starting to go and their mental health is really suffering. Very, very important. One of the first signs is their hygiene. If they're not taking showers, they're not taking care of themselves, they don't seem to care about things that were so important to them at one time. Amanda would have never considered even walking around the house, in running, in very loose clothes, basically a house coat. She would have never considered doing that. And it was her normal attire the last few years. Not taking a shower maybe once a week because you just don't care. And it's a mindset and it's a mental health issue. If you're seeing somebody like that in your family doing that, hiding their bottles and cans, always being very secretive of where they're drinking, isolating themselves, big red flags. It's time to step in, create boundaries, and get somebody down the right path. They need counseling. They need group support. It's so essential. I always talk about not just about AA, Smart Recovery, Life Ring, Women for Sobriety, because let me put it this way. If you're around 5 people who are trying to recover, they're actively trying to recover, they're working on themselves, you're going to be the next person. Okay, we become the people who we surround ourselves with. Better to be around 5 people who are trying to recover than 5 people who are at the bar trying to drink themselves into oblivion. That's not the environment you want to be around if you're trying to escape this horrible, horrible disease. And really, the most irrational part of the disease is when their health is affected. Amanda, she had an incredible weight gain because she had a thyroid problem, and most of her calorie intake was from wine or beer. So she had nothing but empty calories, bad calories, and it's ethanol, so it'll break your organs down, which it ultimately did. It affected her pancreas, her liver, her heart, her kidneys, her esophageal tract, and her intestinal tract. It wreaks havoc on your life. It caused her the weight gain caused her to have both her knees replaced. She had to have 3 surgeries on her ankle, multiple problems. She was always in pain. She was in crutches the last 7 or 8 years of her life between knee replacements and ankle surgeries and hip problems. It was one thing after another. And it's not a road you want to go down. She went from being, running 4 or 5 miles a day to not being able to hardly get off the couch because of alcohol. And we're only talking about a less than 25 year span of life. So it's not a road you want to go down. And really, the last thing I want to say, some people get upset because I use my wife as like a case study. Well, yeah, I do. The memoir called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. Again, you can find it. The link is in the link tree. You can buy it internationally, and you can buy it on Amazon. You can also buy it on my website, which is right in the link tree. Lots of options. The ebook is on Apple. It's on Amazon. It's also on Barnes & Noble. But the whole point of it, telling this story on social media and the memoir is about awareness, bringing this out of the closet and bringing purpose to a life that seemingly had no purpose when she passed away back in February of 2020. And I talk about it really with the sole purpose of helping others and helping others identify if they have a problem and they see it in themselves or if they have a loved one in their family. And I really, really hope that helps.